Welcome to Access, thanks to Crypto.com. Matthew, Lloyd and Damian Barrett with you. Some shock results out of round 10, Lordo, which need full dissection today.
Can't wait to hear your views on those, Damo. And I'm already excited about Thursday night football. The Western Bulldogs, who are flying up against Geelong down at GMHBA. I want to talk about the Swans, how they turned potentially their season around against the Blues on Friday night. And the Suns, they are going well, but I've got some question marks on their midfield group.
And when we get to learnings, I've learned something out of round 10, Lordo, which I probably should have known before, but we'll get to that soon. But what we do need to touch on off the very top today is the once 0-5 Melbourne Football Club, now just one game outside of the 8, and they brought down the reigning premier yesterday at the Gabba. Take us through how they did it.
Yeah, Damo, to me, I'm the most excited about Melbourne that I've been all season because of what they did in that last quarter and in the second half in particular. So Brisbane, in the first three quarters, their ball movement was unbelievable. And Melbourne cranked up the pressure like I've not seen them crank up pressure this year. So you see the panic start to set in. Melbourne, that front half game is what won them the premiership. That 3 or 4 years ago, and they just had repeat entries. And you look at this, Levi Ashcroft, normally a class player, he was confused. He's thinking, how do I move this ball, Damo? So then you see the turnovers where they had no answer for it. And moments later, you look at this again. Stephen May's thinking, we're hemming them in. There's no ball movement from Brisbane at all, so I can be aggressive. Led Darcy Gardner to the ball, and eventually the dam wall broke, and it was their best win of the season.
So they started 0-5, but since then, Lordo, they've beaten Fremantle, Richmond, West Coast. They were equal with Hawthorn at three-quarter time last weekend, lost by 5 goals, it must be said, but then they beat Brisbane Lions then. So are we judging this team now on that 5-match bracket rather than the first 5?
Well, yeah, you can go off a large scope of work now, body of work, and even what he's done to Clayton Oliver has worked, I think, and then Bailey Fritsch, he made him the sub, and he came on in the last quarter and was unbelievable. So I think he's sharpening up a few of his senior players as well, so big tick for Goodwin over the last 5 weeks.
Concerns for the Lions just yet? I think there are. I think there's a lethargy now at play mentally. They drew against North Melbourne the previous week in Hobart and couldn't respond in the last quarter against Melbourne yesterday.
And they come to the MCG to play Hawthorn this weekend, so what a game that's going to be. But I fell into questioning them last year, but they are that talented. I think this might not be the worst thing for them.
There was a football story and an emotional story at Optus Stadium yesterday in Perth, Lordo. West Coast playing St Kilda. Let's deal with the football side of it first, because this was the first win under the Andrew McQualter coached West Coast Eagles in his career, and it came in dramatic fashion with a dominant performance against the Saints, and particularly in the last quarter.
Fantastic win. They were the better side right from the start, the West Coast Eagles. St Kilda only had 6 goals, Damo, to three-quarter time. So it was one of those St Kilda performances without Jack Higgins. I don't know where they go, St Kilda, because they just lack so much. But full credit to West Coast. They were hungry. They were nasty. They've been close. They should have beaten Essendon. They should have beaten Richmond potentially last week. So this was coming, and well done to them. And
the names we're seeing on screen here, Liam Ryan, Tim Kelly, Oscar Allen we're about to hear from, their bigger names stood up, Jake Waterman, and they had that nice blend of the future with the already established stars.
Yeah, Hoff had a fantastic game. Reid had some really good moments as well. So you're right, it was a good blend. And as I said, St Kilda, poor again. There is worrying about any side in the competition, but well done to the West Coast Eagles on that win.
The passing of Adam Selwood on Saturday, Lordo, it was the backdrop to this game. It was an emotional time for everyone attached to the football fraternity, the Selwood family particularly. Adam being a premiership player at the West Coast Eagles. Post-match, the co-captain Oscar Allen spoke so openly about this situation, as did his coach Andrew McQualter.
We've lost the legend of our club, and just want to send all love and support to the Selwood family. Mental health is such a massive thing in society at the moment. I've struggled with my own mental battles this year, and I've been so fortunate to have such a great support crew around me to have my back throughout everything we've gone through. I just urge anyone out there who's struggling with anything, please reach out, helplines, friends reach out to each other, because we're heartbroken, and we just want to offer all the love and support we can to the Selwood family in this time.
It's just incredibly challenging and sad time, and I want to pay my respects to the Selwood family, and all of our thoughts are with them in this sad time. Adam had a huge influence at our football club, impacted many people that still work at our football club today, so it has been just an incredibly challenging time. When we got here today, we just asked people to play in the right spirit and put their emotions into being a great teammate like Adam was. And we got the performance we got.
Lordo, the Western Bulldogs are emerging as one of the stories of the season. They pulled apart. They actually embarrassed Essendon on Saturday night, and they have now set their season up in a very magnificent way.
If you don't bring pressure to the Western Bulldogs, they will do what they do to you. So we saw them in Ballarat only weeks ago where they won by 90-odd points, and they've done it again. So
this was the most clinical performance, I think, of the entire season, not just by the Bulldogs, but any team. This margin could have been so much greater.
Yeah, there's Bailey Dale, 49 disposals and 37 kicks out of those 49 disposals. So he's an elite player. You've got Richards, who's at the top of his game. Bontempelli, he's playing a different way, and he's doing more damage forward of the ball because they've got so much depth through the midfield. Libba's doing Libba things. Tim English is in career best form. Richards, you know, you got Lobb and Karmas who are playing.
Sanders doing more than he needs to do as a second-year player.
Yeah, and then you have Riley West and Bandamere who just play as pressure forward. So the list goes on and on and on, and they've still got players to return in the back half of the season. So yeah, they are as dangerous as anybody in the competition.
Yeah, Sam Darcy and Adam Treloar, the main ones you referred to there, who are absent. They did officially confirm what we'd felt for some time already, that Cody Waitman will be out for the year, and he's having a good season too, Tim English, isn't he, Lordo? So, Lordo, as we look at what they did in this game, particularly late, where they just kept the pressure right on the Bombers, we'll take a look at what they've done throughout the course of the season. And these are often the key metrics that footy clubs look at: disposals, handballs received, clearances, 50s, goals, and the percentage score per inside 50. They're 1, 2 or 3 on all those key metrics. We're seeing a pattern here. It's a premiership shaping pattern though, isn't it?
Yeah, they're in really good shape, but what they have to do under Luke Beveridge is be top 4, which they haven't been, have they, in the past? No. And they have to do it the hard way. So this is their next challenge. Just keep doing it. The beat a side like Geelong this week, get top 4, and they set themselves up for a real tilt at this premiership.
We're going to make the Bulldogs also the focus of our boardroom agenda today on access. It's Luke Beveridge responding to the chair of the Port Adelaide Footy Club, Lordo, David Koch, who revisited the Willie Rioli situation of the previous week, where he actually really went in to defend his players, particularly Bailey Dale, and he is galvanising this group.
You know, I said at the time, Willie's made a mistake. You know, we'll forgive him, we'll move on, he'll learn from it. Will he learn from it if his own club's enabling him by making excuses for him? Because it didn't happen. There's always a little bit of edginess in the way players talk to each other, but our players would never say anything to an Indigenous player that's culturally insensitive. So I'm just not sure why that angle has come up after the fact now. Maybe it's because Willie's back playing this week, I don't know.
Well, I feel he and the entire Western Bulldogs operation have handled this matter really, really well. But I raise it today under the boardroom agenda. He is doing everything he can now to pick up on little moments within the season to galvanise the group in a very powerful way. And then, as you answer that, you throw forward to what's now in front of them against Geelong on Thursday night at GMHBA Stadium. They're a game against Bailey Smith, but a game that could well shape premiership markets. Yeah,
I liked it from Luke Beveridge too, standing up for his player and his football club, because I think in the modern day, players don't speak like that. It's not like it's the 80s or the 90s, and they were being labelled in a way he wouldn't have liked at the Western Bulldogs. Bailey Dale, we had him on the Sunday Footy Show yesterday, and it was...
He didn't like it?
He didn't like it. It was baffling for him as well. So I just think the word enabling Willie was strong from the Western Bulldogs standing up for his club, and they're in a great space.
The playing group's drawing on that.
Yeah, they are.
As they are at Richmond under Adam Uze. Now, they narrowly lost a game of football yesterday, and they know why. It was the damage caused in the first quarter against North Melbourne.
It was, and full credit to North Melbourne jumping out of the blocks. MCG, hardly any of their players have played there, and they jumped the Richmond Football Club. They smashed them in stoppage, in clearance, and it was that 6-goal burst from North Melbourne that was the difference in this game.
Adam Uze post-match.
Our start wasn't good enough. The first quarter we got smashed in inside 50, smashed in clearance. They dominated territory. They kicked 6 goals from 16 entries. You're not going to win many quarters of footy doing that and allowing that many or that sort of scoreboard ascendancy. So, that we just didn't start the right way.
And the period in question, Lordo, it was 6-2. Take us through what happened there, because it was a good win by North in that regard. They came out of the blocks hard. They won their second game of football since round 2 this year, and they looked good in this period of the play.
Yeah, it was interesting in the box after the game. Clarko didn't look overly happy.
No.
The game didn't finish the way they wanted to. It was all Richmond late in the game, but it was this start that won it for them.
And again, their best players stood up in that period. I love Cam Zurhaar's game, not just in the first quarter, but for the entire 4 quarters. Simpkin did more than enough as captain of it. McKercher's showing signs. And yeah, look, I was critical last week, Lordo, and I think you raised your eyebrows when they drew against Brisbane. I've got nothing but praise. They won that game of footy. Yes, it got ugly, and yes, it could have been taken away, but they won, so well done.
They did, and a team that won on Friday night, Damo, was Sydney, and it was at the SCG against the Blues, and I thought it was a dour struggle. Both teams weren't giving me much to say, OK, they should be playing finals, but it was at 3-quarter time. One team had to try and take some risks, and it was the Sydney Swans, and it was the Lizard, Nick Blakey, who I love these moments. So look at the score. They're down by 4 points, and look at Blakey's kicks inboard and how it opened up the game. And they could try and win dour, they could try and win kicking 8 or 9 goals, but Sydney were the team who said, no, we're going to take risks, and that opened up that Blakey kick, opened up that first Grundy play, and then even this handball. He could go along the boundary line. Blakey says, no, I'm going back inboard again, hits the Chad and Warner. And
Warner's been in both these plays.
Yeah, it was phenomenal. And then this guy, I love this guy too, Braden Campbell. He's outstanding too. So I thought they showed what Carlton couldn't, and gets their season back on track, you'd hope. And Carlton still question marks around. They're just not bold enough. They're not creative enough, and that's why they are where they are.
Yep. Fantastic game to start round 10, Lordo. Gold Coast Suns beating the Hawthorn Footy Club. And it was again their midfield which got the job done. But you've just got a slight cautionary tale on the back of what Noah Anderson, Matty Rowell, Tuke Miller are doing when it comes to depth of midfield.
Yeah, we are. I am, Damo. So they are as good a 4 as you'd have in the competition, and they mauled Hawthorn in this.
They might be the best 4.
Yeah,
might be.
Just about. So they are. Yeah, might be. And Matty Rowell's the key to it. Noah Anderson is a class act. Those two have been playing together since they were boys at Carey Grammar. Miller plays as a forward but comes in the stoppage. Jared Witts, he's underrated as a ruckman. So there's no doubts on that. But what I'm getting to is I remember we used to talk about Stewie Dew, and he didn't really throw anyone through the midfield. And you say, are they too reliant? And we've got under Damien Harbert, Damo, these numbers in your screen, and it's setting up that way again. If someone gets injured or someone like Rowell gets shut down like he did against Brisbane, I have question marks about what comes next.
They've certainly tried it with Humphrey, and he will, I imagine, Lordo, for the rest of the year, have more time in the middle than he did on the weekend. They got the job done, and that's all they had to do on Thursday night. But Sam Flanders, we know, is going to spend a lot of time there throughout his career. Luke Weller in and out of the team now at his age and stage of his time. But yeah, it does stop there, doesn't it?
Yeah, a bit of an over-reliance, so they've got to be really careful in the back half of the year, the Gold Coast Suns.
The Suns are also the focus of today's Crypto.com bold call, Lordo.
It is, and that is that Ben Long is the most improved player in the competition by a long, long way, and he's just gone up that much in everyone's estimations. And to me, he's like the Giants' Toby Green or Collingwood's Jamie Elliott. And this is a guy that's...
You've got trust in him now?
Oh, he is just brutally tough and got amazing skills. So I just can't believe the player he's become, and that's their steam I hold him in now, and he's a real barometer for the Gold Coast Suns.
Well, I've just learnt that today out of round 10. And what else have you learnt? And I'll get to my learnings as well, Lordo.
Well, they have beaten no one this year. So we all thought Hawthorn, beat the Giants. That was a good win. But in hindsight, none of their wins have been that good this year. So that's where Saturday's important against the Brisbane Lions. You just have to admire Collingwood. They are the most professional team in the competition. They have the best system. They play their roles, and they just keep finding a way how to win. To me, the Giants, what's happened to them? The season's biggest mystery. So,
bad loss against the Dockers.
Yeah, Ripper win the week before against Geelong, and then they just served that up again. So there's just no consistency there. And for me, no danger, no worries, because they've got Jeremy Cameron and Ollie Dempsey, who are fantastic players who will hit the scoreboard. So I think they can continue on and be okay without him. Yeah,
Carlton's in trouble, obviously, with a 4-6 scoreline. And the boldness that you just showed, Lordo, that the Swans displayed against them, that's what they now need to do to resurrect this season. The Crows had a missed opportunity. Rochelle missed a moment late. Fogarty, who was almost the best on ground, also missed opportunities. Rankin missed 2 bad ones. They just keep missing opportunities at the MCG against Collingwood. That Bombers performance, Lordo, against the Bulldogs was the worst game of the year by any club by some way, in my eyes, with where they were at, having won 5 of their previous 6. And Lotto, this last one, Port Adelaide, I'm saying it's now time to make the call on the Ken Hinkley, Josh Carr situation. I've been slow to come around to this. You've been, I think, leading the way on it. But I say it now, Lotto, 3 times now in the last 8 weeks, you've got matches against Collingwood, Western Bulldogs and Geelong, the one most recently. After half-time of those games, they have conceded 36 goals in totality and kicked only 6 themselves. That to me now is evidence on the back of those 3 matches. These players have checked out. They've checked out to the half-time stage of those games, and there's been no response since. And I think they've made the call for the future. May as well make it now.
I looked at their fixture, Damo, and they have a home game against Melbourne in 3 weeks, so that's their next home game. Is that the time that you make it a big farewell for Ken Hinkley, or how would you play this out of your Port Adelaide?
It could be done. I admit I've been slow to this, and maybe he certainly absolutely deserves the farewell moment, but I think the runway now between now and round 24 is too long a farewell period for him, because it's not working in 2025, and I've maybe have been slow to pick up on that.
Yeah, and how would you say, is it fair to Josh Carter give him, do you think it's a good thing for him to have 10 weeks to be the coach?
Get now. Once you've made your decision, and once it's not working in the confines of the last season under that deal, go for the future now. 2026 should start after that Melbourne game, if that's the game you've identified. Now, Lordo, this is the Giants and the Dockers. Yeah, we touched on the Giants aspect of this, but the Dockers deserve a lot of love. I've been critical as anyone about the lack of spark. Shea Bolton had a great game, 3 goals, and they did play differently. Yeah,
I've been critical as well, but so we should be, because they are better than what they've shown, and this is the ball movement that got everyone excited over the weekend and said, OK, this is the Dockers. I know you tipped them high, a lot of others. I didn't.
I did in the grand final, which I retracted a couple of weeks ago, but no, maybe I need to come back on it.
Yeah, but this we'll see what they do over the next couple of weeks and can they back it up. But this ball movement just destroyed. We talk about the orange tsunami. Well, it was the purple tsunami, and this is the best one of them. Absolutely outstanding kick out of defence, and then you see the ball just kept moving. They just didn't go back behind the line.
We haven't seen this a lot, have we?
No, Warner gets involved here. Inside Wagner as well, and then inside Amos. That's all you're asked for as a forward. If they keep moving the ball like that and be bolder and be willing to be scored against by going aggressive like that, well, they may be capable of something.
Crypto.com tipping is back on this show, Lordo, because the gauntlet didn't last too long. I might have been under there on false pretences, giving out a draw to get me going for 3 weeks. You only lasted 2, but my tipping's off too, Lordo. I was 0 for 3 to start the round and only ended up with 3, so you've got me covered there again.
Yeah, I'm fighting hard too. Michael Whiting, the fish, he's in front, but I'm 3 behind.
Thank you for watching Access, and we'll be back next week for more with Crypto.com.